Well, hey there. It's Wednesday and it's a college basketball video because there are games today. You know, kids are playing. If they're not dodging bullets, they're playing, right? I mean, gosh, what kind of world we living in? Anyway, there is college basketball, so let's go over it. Looks like 54 games we have in here. Been doing this one for a long time. Still needs work. We need to work on percentages. I need to write a macro and do some distributions of percentages with this file, and that is a worthwhile goal to get into before the big tournament is starting. And I kind of know what I'm doing with this already anyway. So I will put that on my list of things to do. And encouraging me to get there will be sending me money and telling me to work on college basketball to do that will get me doing it faster than not sending me money. So there's that. Okay. But let's talk about today with what we have. So with these 54 games, you want home teams. You want home teams that are not injured, like Grand Canyon's injured. You want reasonable lines. You want value picks. There are some value picks. We can sort this by line differential to see what the algorithm. I've already done this. I've been doing this for years. I'm already supposed to be able to answer the question, which is, we're doing it by over under right now. Let's look at this for a second, the way it's sorted, then we're going to resort. It's not sorted by margin like I thought it was. Normally I have top down, like the top team is supposed to win the most. That's not the order we have it sorted in right now. We have it sorted in the over under order. And the only thing that's been a little bit reliable has been hitting some of these overs when we're predicting a lot more points than they're predicting. So like this Sam Houston Texas Arlington, there's a 17-point differential in our projected scores, which are obviously not perfect and need work, but it is still doing that. So like there's this one also, this Bradley Missouri State game. I don't think either. There's some injuries here on these other teams, on these away teams. But yeah, things like these two especially, those are a lot of points over here. So it's thinking the over in that game, but I don't want to sort by that. I want to sort by something else. We want to sort by line value is what we want to sort by. Sending by line value. And this is the equation that I set up to compare what the algorithm's projected line for the game should be and what the actual line is for the game. And compare the two and come up with this thing called the value pick. So basically, we think that Western Carolina should be, no, that's total points. Sorry. We think that, here, I'll make this easier to read. So the money line for Western Carolina is minus 150. Let's go through the game string here to understand what's happening. Because we've done pretty well with the value picks since I've been doing this for the last few weeks. I kind of want to use them and not restart from scratch every time I try to assess the board every day. So let's just talk about this game. Western Carolina is home. Great. They have a 10% margin with no bump. Great. They're only minus 150. The algorithm says they would be minus 222 is what they're supposed to be. So you have value here. Okay. Strength of schedule is even better than East Tennessee State. There's no reason this pick should lose. They're an okay team. I mean, anything can happen, but that's probably a winner. Then there's Fordham over St. Bonaventure. We think it should be minus 239. It's minus 190. Margin's 11%. They're a little better team. Here's another one. Their strength of schedule is not as good, but still probably pretty good on here. It says value pick because of these lines. All right. It's 4. So the top 4 games are value picks. You can see them right here. They're Western Carolina, Fordham, Wofford. Well, you got to bet Wofford. I'm not a fan of Wofford. Well, watch them win. Wofford over Mercer at minus 150. They should be minus 176. The margin is only 6% now. Notice that. And then here, the margin is only 2%, 2.8% with Stetson. And they're minus 125. But says if you play these 4 picks, you're probably going to be profitable in the long run. And here's the other thing about the line value. It says if you go down all the way to about negative 50 even, you're still profitable, which would include these games. So you've also got potentially St. Louis, Binghamton, Bryant, and Duquesne, but now you're starting to get down to minus 300. But notice these lines in green. St. Louis is not great with apparently like one guy out. But The Bryant game with a better strength of schedule, margin's super low, but they are a home team. So you can see that like this is what the algorithm is basically telling you to play, even though they're not great, but straight bets like you probably go 3-1 or better. Because that's the way home teams just that's the way they roll. And none of those teams have injuries. There are other things on here. We think that, now I'm going to resort by margin for a second because it's more intuitive when we're looking at the board, and that's kind of important. Because when you look at it by margin, teams top down are supposed to win. And so when I end up showing you like previous days results, like look at yesterday's results after we put in today's stats, which is slightly different than it was yesterday, but let's just look at it anyway. You see chunks of wins at the top. There's a reason for that when you look at it by margin, is because that's the order that we're supposedly looking at the comparison of the games. So let's then go back to today. And knowing that as we sort descending by margin and home teams, I say home teams above 10% margin win 90% of the time, about like between 80 and 90, and definitely days where it's 90 and above. So that means that of those 15 games, you can expect to go like 13-2, right? Yeah, 13-2, 14-1, or 15-0, right? On these games. Now there's an injury here, Grand Canyon, so it's really only 14 games. I wouldn't worry about this injury too much because Mississippi's injured more. That's all these games. So I'm expecting to be profitable all the way down to here, even though these lines are terrible, because going, and we'll exclude this game. We won't even care about this game when we look at profit because we're saying don't bet it because of the injuries. So, and then overall, your home teams still are usually like 80% or above, like still the rest of them. And that's going to be those teams down here, of which a lot of those are value picks, as we saw. So there's another 7. Now, that's the home team side of things and the over-under side of things, at least for home team wise. Now, away teams. So we've got a bunch of away teams, and I'm going to start by saying you never want to play an away team. Ever. You never, ever. Even if they win and you would have won, you never want to do it. You just got lucky. Away teams are the most unpredictable thing ever. So let's use that unpredictability against the away team by only taking home teams. I brought this up yesterday because I couldn't find anything to play on the board at all. And so I ended up taking 2 underdog home teams that were on this side of the list, and they both won. Somebody commented in the video, they're like, yo, Providence and somebody else. Who was it yesterday? I don't care. There was 2 teams, but we won both of them, and they were both underdogs. So Penn State and Providence yesterday. Now, well, what do you do today? Well, first of all, you can take advantage of injury situations, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a team that's going to have a good line and that's not supposed to win according to the algorithm, but they are a home team. So if the margin's at all close and there's a huge favorite here that for some reason we can go against, we want to do that. There aren't any real huge favorites down here. But you've got an injured TCU, but this injury has been showing up for a while, and they've still been playing well. And Iowa State's a favorite on the other side, so it's really, really tough call down there. It doesn't really help. Mississippi State against injured Kentucky, but even they're a favorite at home, and that doesn't help, right? Because this is the underdog line we're seeing for this team. This is A&M's a little injured. Lafayette against Loyola. So here's one. Loyola is going to be, you can open it up and see. Loyola. All right, so now here's kind of how we're doing this. I was going to change the bumps, but you don't actually want to change the bumps too much. Oh, actually, you kind of do. Yeah, you want to say anybody who could handle a 20% home bump could be on this list. And then we're going to look at just the dogs. The home dogs. Here they are. All right, it's a quick way of looking at it. Wow. Yeah. So Louisville could beat Virginia, but they're injured at 1,200 with a 20% bump. No, I'm looking at everything. No. No. Hold on a second. Don't I take that back. That is not true what I just said. Yeah, they're off the list now. Now here's where the bettable dogs are. Okay. So we filtered for at a 20% bump, who wins as home teams. And you've got a Washington at 190, a South Carolina Upstate at 180. Look at injuries here. Tulsa over South Florida plus 160. Here, your Colorado State is injured, so that's more difficult. And San Diego over Fullerton. And these are the new margins that happen. So, like, this Tulsa is interesting, as I was just there last week. I had a good time. So that's possible. You're definitely going to get some weirdness going on with all these injuries, and the plus 4.5 as a straight bet's probably really, really solid. Then these two are good lines, and the margins. I mean, you could still bring this down to a 15% margin. Those teams are still on there. See how they're still here? So that means that probably one of these wins because they're home teams. And Washington's a better team. Longwood's not great. So that's why it might be South Carolina. So that's on there. So these are straight bets that are probably profitable EV long term, just because away teams never ever are consistently winning. They just don't. Like, I can tell you, looking at this away list today, that that you at no bump you see 32 teams on here. I'm like, if we go 20 and 12, I'd be amazed. And we're probably going to go something like 15 and 17 on away teams or something at this level. But it won't be like that with home teams. Your home teams and what you see on here, your 22 teams, you're probably going to go 18 and 4 or better. And watch out for the injuries. If the injury's lost, that doesn't count. I'm talking about games where teams are healthy. So there's really 21 games. And I've been pretty good predicting what the totals are if you've watched these videos when I've done this. Yeah, 21 games. Yeah, you're looking at, on average, you go like 18 and 3. It'll be like, it's like 16 and 5 on a really bad day, and and you can go 20 and 1. I mean, it can do that. It's that good. So we'll see what happens. The advice on the picks of the day, because I want to try to give it to you. I'm just reading the algorithm. I mean, it's the 4 value picks. It's splitting up those 4 value picks because none of those are at really good lines. And it's those 2 underdogs that I said. All right. Good luck, everyone. May all your picks be winning.